hindi maganda, sabihin sa magulang at sa bahay muna. Sa kalye, BigaTEN! Best friend natin ang mask, suotin kahit saan. Ingatan ang kamay, maghugas pag galing sa labas. Sa school, BigaTEN! Sa pila, wag dikit-dikit, dumistansya para iwas sakit. Laging open ang window para maganda ang airflow. 3B's, tandaan, bakuna, bayanihan, BigaTEN! Halina at magtulungan. Ikaw at ako ang BigaTEN. Sa COVID di pa dadaig, sa ligtas na magbabalik, sama-sama maging BigaTEN.
The unseen enemy crept like a thief in the night, smizing cunningly at people in their sleep, and one morning took hostage of humanity by surprise as the coronavirus pandemic continues to spread its ferocious rampage the world over. COVID-19 took the different sectors by storm, and education was no exception.
COVID-19 pandemic shocks the world. We didn't see this coming. We were caught unaware. This has created the new normal, and we have to embrace it by addressing the challenges it brings.
Determined to pursue the delivery of education amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, DepEd Region 10 launched its banner program dubbed as RX Adobe.
The Department of Education, Northern Mindanao, has crafted its learning continuity plans under the banner program RX Adobe, which stands for Region 10 Alternative Delivery of Basic Education. It underscores the alternative delivery modes under the remote teaching and learning. The 14 schools division offices of the region have crafted the learning continuity plans anchored on RX Adobe.
Always ready for education emergencies, DepEd Region 10 will continue its tradition of excellence in delivering its services anchored on the department's Sulong Edukalidad program.
As we pivot from access to quality, we have to consider a well-developed curriculum, improved learning environment, upskilled teachers, and take into consideration responsive multi-stakeholders cooperation. All this and more are under the program Sulong Edukalidad. But on top of this all, still health and safety are the number one concerns of the Department of Education, especially at this time of pandemic.
Serving with heart.
Leading
with a heart.
Envisioning with a heart.
Straight from the heart of DepEd Region 10.
Education must proceed.
RX Adobe. Amihan ng Mindanao, pagkahiusan ng paibabaw. BigaTEN DepEd, pagpadayon sa edukasyon, mao'y dumong nga maangkon. BigaTEN DepEd, DepEd Northern Mindanao, for the learners then and now, we're always here to serve you no matter how. Pangarap natin abutin, pagsisikapan nating kamtin, kalidad na edukasyon para sa bata, para sa bansa. kauban, kasaligan, kadampan, kadeped, kauban, kasaligan, kadampan, kadeped, ambihan ng Mindanao, DepEd Northern Mindanao, ambihan ng Mindanao, pagkahiusan ng paibabaw, BigaTEN DepEd, pagpadayon sa edukasyon, mao'y tumong nga maangkon. BigaTEN DepEd, DepEd Northern Mindanao, for the learners then and now, we're always here to serve you no matter how. Pangarap natin abutin, pagsisikapan nating kamtin, kalidad na edukasyon para sa bata, para sa bansa. DepEd Northern Mindanao, ambihan ng Mindanao, BigaTEN DepEd, BigaTEN DepEd.
Between DepEd and community of Oroquieta City in the province of Misamis Occidental. The division is launching today, August 1, right here in MONHS Covered Court, the 2022 Brigada Escuela. As we know that Brigada Escuela is a national maintenance week for all schools to encourage all stakeholders to devote their time, efforts, and resources for the opening of classes, especially this school year 2022-2023. It started with a motorcade early in the morning and followed by the short program. Messages of support with the following: Mayor Lemuel Merrick M. Acosta, ably represented by City HIDCOM Chairman, Honorable Councilor Eileen M. Taladua, Provincial Governor Henry S. Waminal, represented by Board Member Duna R. Iyug, ABC President Alfredo Y. Bolino, CNR Officer Thomas L. Cardente II, Federated PDA President Bebelito II C. Galimbas, and Isabelo Q. Talabok of the private sector. The success of every Brigada Escuela is for the benefit of the children because sa Oroquieta, bata ang bida, lalpalad-palad, kapingita, dumagsik, tinanapilsik, magbabalik. God is good all the time. Kampi Agandao, Sagdalta. To assist the schools in upholding the culture-based basic education, the indigenous peoples or IP elders in Subanen tribe serve as para-teachers in IPED implementing schools for the whole school year with time allotment reflected in the class program. On how they do it, here is Tuliok Elementary School as one of the 28 implementing schools by the news report of the Information Officer, Sarah Jane M. Pacaro. Teacher Sarah Jane, please come in.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Joy. Gambia sa Salam, the comeback of the Indigenous Peoples Education or IPED in the class program of the IPED Implementing Schools of the Department of Education in the new normal setting for school year 2021 to 2022 gave so much elation to the community of Tuliok Elementary School. As the consultative and advisory bodies or CAB in the school, Bai Pordulati Teres and Bai Pasita Simon Tipon were so excited and eager to teach and share the Subanin language and culture to the Subanin children once again. Tuliok Elementary School is one of the 28 IPED implementing schools in the division of Arqueta City. The objective of this program is to promote and preserve the culture of the indigenous peoples, specifically the Subanin culture, through education, as it is an effective means of inculcating learning and acquiring skills of the then forgotten tradition. Our CABs, Bai Pasita and Bai Pordula, knows no boundaries in educating the future. Para John, IPED, this has been your humble servant, Magtatando, Sarah Jane Maghanoy Pacaro from Tuliok Elementary School. Back to you, Ma'am Joy.
Thank you very much, Teacher Sarah Jane M. Pacaro of Tuliok Elementary School with the school head Christy E. Mangugtong, and for BigaTEN DepEd and for Project NOAA Update, this is DepEd Maria Joy Tan Agot saying, in Oroqueta, bata ang bida, bral palad-palad, ligamping ita, dumasik, pinanabi, sig magbabadya, Emmanuel, God is with us.
Anong meron?
Anong meron?
Anong meron?
Anong meron?
Anong meron? Anong meron?
Anong meron nga ba sa division of Hingoog City?
Maraming meron dito!
Serbisyong totoo. Pananampalataya. Pagkakaisa. Pagkakaibigan. At higit sa lahat, bayanihan. Bayanihan na may puso. Bayanihan na may isip. Bayanihan na may gawa. Bayanihan na kailanmay hindi mawawala.
Dahil dito sa Division of Hingoog City,
Bida ang bayanihan!
Nagsimula tayo sa isang pangarap, tagumpay ng kalahatan, tanging hangad. Sa puso't diwa, tayo'y magkakasama, sumisinag ang serbisyong DepEd Hingoog. Kabataan, puso ng paaralan, kalidad ay edukasyon ay magkakamtan. Payabungin lalo ang pagtuturo, dedikasyon ng mga gurong gintong tunay. Tayo'y magsama-sama sa isang ngiti, namumukod bukod tangi ang pipiliin. Isulong natin edukalidad, edukasyon sa DepEd ko, sa bagong ngayon. Sa bawat hamong na harapin, rehas ng mga hamon kayang lutasin. Paunlarin ng diwan ng pagkaisa, sama-samang itaguyod ang bayang hanggan. Tayo'y magsama-sama sa isang biti, namumukod pagkutang iyang pipiliin. Isultong datin edukalidad, edukasyon sa DepEd ko. Tayo'y magsama-sama sa isang biti, namumukod pagkutang iyang pipiliin. Isultong datin edukalidad, edukasyon sa DepEd ko, sa bagong ngayon. 'Cause we are one in gold, one in heart, we are one, and forever we will be. 'Cause we are one in gold, one in heart, we are one, and forever we will be. We are one, DepEd ko.
The division of Misamis Occidental, with its commitment to ensure the delivery of quality, relevant, culture-sensitive, learner-centered, and liberating basic education, continues to uphold its standards in promoting programs and projects in realizing its mission, vision, and core values. Guided by the department's core values and the dedication of its leaders, the division pursues to implement curricular reforms and innovations supported by effective school management and governance, providing support services for effective learning to happen.
The SGOD through SOGOD 21 leads in the crafting of the basic education learning continuity plan of the division, adhering to the department's BELCP. Through the technical assistance of the SGOD team, schools and learning centers are safeguarded from COVID 19's unprecedented threat by managing process delivery of basic education program services, providing support in ensuring a conducive learning environment compliant not only to quality standards of governance and operations, but also to the protocols set by the IATN, closely collaborating with the CID. The compliance with the school safety assessment tool was validated to guarantee our entire school community of a safe environment during the conduct of the limited face-to-face classes.
During the height of the COVID 19 pandemic, when schools were closed, community restrictions were raised, and learners were only allowed to stay at home, the division's thrust to deliver education services was tested. Fueled by passion and steered by resiliency, the division of Misamis Occidental, with a mandate from the Department of Education through Secretary Leonor Briones, made learning continue to happen. Thus, its basic education learning continuity plan served as the blueprint for the implementation of distance learning modalities and as its roadmap for devising interventions and strategies for learning.
The Curriculum Implementation Division guarantees that learning continues amidst the pandemic, and the interventions aligned to our flagship program, Quarantine MISO, address the most urgent needs of our schools. Foremost is the development of distance learning resources based on the most essential learning competencies prescribed by the department. The quality assured learning resources, particularly the K stage 1 and 2, are designed to involve the parents and guardians in the learning process. Develop assessment tools and strategies like the unified diagnostic and post test, keywords and one page competencies under the project case and OPCs were tailored to the unique needs of the times.
And now, when strict community protocols started to loosen, and from purely distance learning modality to its transition to face classes, the division of Misamis Occidental sees new hope in the reopening of schools and implementation of face to face instructions.
The pilot implementation of the limited face-to-face classes in the division of Misamis Occidental was met with enthusiasm by the entire community of the division. From the pilot implementer, the Toril Elementary School followed 19 other schools and later expanded to the remaining number of schools, the total number of schools of 337 in the entire division of Misamis Occidental. These schools were validated in terms of their compliance to the safety assessment tool. Furthermore, the division of Misamis Occidental has also started in its journey towards quality management system and assisted us in this endeavor is the technical team from the central office who provided us inputs and guidance um, in order that ensuring to ensure that the systems and processes work accordingly.
And in this transition, bridging the learning gap is very necessary. Hence, strategies and interventions for learning recovery are carefully planned and implemented to ensure that learning losses during the 2 years of distance learning are addressed.
The division of Misamis Occidental ensures that all schools are ready and appropriately supported with necessary learning resources in the delivery of instruction. Hence, tablets where digitized learning materials are stored were purchased and distributed to schools using the funds allocated for the purpose. Moreover, to support the division's reading program and initiatives, English reading kits were provided through the Provincial School Board Fund to guarantee that all schools have developmentally appropriate reading materials.
The Division Reading Program, Misamis Occidental, a division of readers, or MISOC adores, which supports the school-based reading programs, needs to be overhauled to address the emerging context of distance learning in reading. Beginning, remedial, and developmental reading sources were distributed to schools, reading assessments were conducted in several stages, and school-based interventions were designed. Among these are the conduct of purely home visitations for remedial reading, bringing reading materials to strategic locations in the barangays or puroks, and the concepts of pagbasa bisag asa, where school personnel invite learners to read wherever, whenever.
The most challenging task for all was the beginning reading instructions. How do teachers teach reading in absentia? Key Stage 1 learning resources in mother tongue, Filipino, and English contain instructions for parents. Kindergarten and mother tongue self-instructional materials are accompanied by video lessons and Giya sa Ginikanan that help parents how to teach learners in particular lessons, all coming from project leader or lesson exemplars and decodables for early readers that provide learners with level appropriate materials.
Go.
Capacity building activities of teachers in terms of distance learning strategies and learning resources development were conducted under Project Module, Project Vlog, and Falcon Radio. Teachers were sent to virtual trainings and workshops providing the much needed key essays in this extraordinary time in the history of Philippine education.
The division of Misamis Occidental, through the dedication of its school leaders, teaching and non-teaching personnel, and with the partnership of its stakeholders, aspires to continuously uphold its commitment of providing the best and high-quality education services to all Misamisnon learners.
If we will, we can. That is how we surmounted the challenge of the pandemic. We capitalized on the power of innovation to conceive all possibilities, to cushion its negative impact, and are triumphant in our unity to defeat ignorance. No matter how dire the situation is, in this hope we can. The division of Misamis Occidental embraces challenges of the next normal education, resiliently ensuring a brighter future for Misamisnon learners, living its mantra that in DepEd, Misamis Occidental, everyone is vital.
The division of Misamis Occidental steadfastly embraces the challenges of the next normal education, resiliently ensuring a brighter future for Misamisnon learners, living its mantra that in Misamis Occidental, everyone is vital.
Maayong araw! Anyan sa kita sa bagong episode sa BigaTEN DepEd! Kauban ang CDO Channel TV Division of Cagayan University. Ako si Francis J. Elmagit. Ug ako si Christine A. Lakas. Karong adlaw atong pag-isgutan ang salary mo, here ko. Step increment matters. Dali na!
Ay, Besh, saan mo kabisihan? Ay, Besh, nagbasa ko sa kong payslip ba? Na-reflect na akong step increment. Step increment? Saan na step increment?
Ano ba ang step increment?
Hello everyone! Na ay mga pautana atong mga teachers. Kung saan na puno na ang step increment?
Yes, partner. Unsay mga benepisyo ani, kinsay mga avail o unsa ang mga nabaguhan sa pag-process niini.
Tara! Ako ning ismutan karon!
Step increment is an increase in salary from step 1 to step 8. All government employees are entitled to this incentive from the time he or she is employed in the government, which start from step 1 and after 2 years, step 2, and so on and so forth. This is a percentage of a personnel's minimum wage pay. So this is only entitled for government, so not for private employees. We are very benefited to have this incentive every 2 years. before, HR personnel or the human resource personnel are the ones who take charge of all the employees, teaching and non-teaching personnel for the whole year. But now, starting last December 2021, we have already the administrative officer 2 for the elementary schools and administrative assistants for the secondary who will prepare all the LUISI and NOSI for the in preparation for the submission in the division office. The process is still the same, but the difference is that since before, all the releases of the step increment and other benefits are released during the end of the year or every December. But starting this year, 2021, starting last January, we release it in a monthly basis. Since we have a monthly basis for entitled step increments, both teaching and non-teaching personnel, after we have given the GSIS and the regional office their new updated step, which is the increase in their salary, a month after, we will monitor the new mass file when we already have our salary for the next month. That's the time we will be able to check if their new step is already updated. And after that, a month after, we will also give them their salary information.
So every after 3 years, na ay additional increase sa ilang basic pay upon the approval of the National Budget Circular.
Moreover, team, ang usa ka empleyado can actually progress from step 1 to step 8 of the salary grade allocation sa iyang posisyon.
Ang sunod nilang pangutana, Sir Francis, who can avail aning step increment?
Ang makaavail aning all permanent teaching and non-teaching personnel o mga empleyado sa atong gobyerno for every 3 years of continuous satisfactory service in their positions.
Hala, naadain ana dari sa DepEd CDO, Besh? Yes, Besh. Hala ko, uy. Besh, unsa ka pag-process ana step increment? Kinanion ra ni Besh.
Today, the step increment process will begin in school by Administrative Officer 2 for elementary school and Administrative Assistants 2 or 3 for secondary school.
They will check and evaluate their school record for those entitled for step increment for the month based on their employee service record, appointment, and leave card. Employees on leave for more than 3 months or 90 days shall have a new step increment effectivity date upon return to duty.
Then, they will prepare documents for lists of employees entitled for Division Office Personnel Step Increment or LUISI and Notice of Step Increment or NOC.
And will submit those documents to the division's office.
As those submitted documents received in the division office, the payroll services section will monitor and prepare the said documents such as extracting personnel services, itemization, and plantilla of personnel. Then, they will check or evaluate the submitted list of LUISI and NOC coming from all elementary and secondary schools, and prepare their own summary of LUISI and NOC. After consolidating all documents, the division office will also prepare the GSIS Form 7 and send this to the regional office.
Step increment to all DepEd Division of Cagayan de Oro City teaching and non-teaching personnel will be given their new salary step incentive monthly. Based on their effectivity date, and salary differential will be given to entitled employees once their new salary is reflected in their payslip.
Anak ka? Kanindot pagit anak ba? Yes, Besh. Every month you mag-evaluate for step increment. Unlike before, every December or yearly. Oo ba? Perfect na gid kaayo na, Besh, nga madugangan ang ato ang salary every after 3 years. Dako na kaayo na nga tabang. Yes, Besh. Yung anak at syada ang step increment dali sa CDO. Naapod ko yung mga kaila na nag-rank po sila sa ilang step increment.
Ako si Ken Yanis, isa ka maestro sa Father William F. Masterson. Sa akong nindumduman, sa first ug second increment nako, ini siya ginahatag tinuig. Apan karon sa third increment nako, malipayon ako excited kay ihatag sa ako karon na bulan na.
Ako si Gretchen Lilian from Dusa Elementary School and malipayon ako nga usa ka beneficiaryo ni aning step increment sa Department of Education. Pinaagi sa step increment, nabatik po dako nga sa akong kadugayan nga pagpanerbisyo o pagpanarbaho sa akong departamento, tunga sa nilambo ko sa akong pagpanarbaho, nilambo ko ang akong sildo. So daghan kayong salamat.
In short, our purpose behind step increments is to somehow help teachers with these little efforts in recompense of their years of public service.
Yes, partner. And syempre, teachers are our unsung heroes amidst this time of difficulties. So teachers, deserve natin to. Deserve mo to. Sa makausapan, ako si Francis J. F. Namin.
Ug ako si Christine A. Blatas.
Yan na gayon.
Salary mo, care ko.
Step increment matters.
The Project I Care or Intensified Collaborative Actions for Reading Enhancement has been existing for quite a time. Cognizant to its benefits, the division intensified its efforts in reaching out learners who have reading difficulty. This particular reading program did not stagnate. We refueled it with various school-based initiatives in coordination with community reading volunteers, further strengthening the Brigada Pagbasa. Despite of the restrictions, we were inspired by the efforts extended by the reading volunteers composed of barangay officials, SK officials, PTA officers, teacher applicants, education graduates, daycare teachers, retired teachers, college students, and parents. Snacks and service vehicles were even provided by the stakeholders. To supplement the distance reading program of the division, the mobile library dubbed as Panopanaw Bitangan Bisan was created. Our learning resource team conducted a school-to-school storytelling activities for kinder to grade 3 learners, using the storybooks crafted by our teachers and staff. Among the storytellers were Punong Barangays, Barangay Kagawads, CENR officer, and other stakeholders reaching as far as Sibukal Integrated School, the last mile school at the foot of Mount Malindang. Having them as our partners in this crusade against illiteracy is already an achievement, an incomparable achievement that we are very thankful and proud of them. In most cases, public schools rely on the budget derived from the maintenance and other operating expenses or MOOE. With the limited MOOE budget, school heads and teachers tend to lobby support from the local government unit officials to finance school projects, initiatives, and building repair. To relieve the school heads and teachers' burden of looking for financial support, Oroquieta City Mayor Lemuel Merrick M. Acosta has allocated 100,000 pesos annually for each of the public elementary and secondary school, totaling to 5.5 million pesos for the repair of classrooms, construction of genderized CR, entrance-exit gates, concrete fence and school stage, and other school physical improvement.
It was a promise made during the early days into our first term as your public servants in Oroquieta City. 5.5 million pesos for the 55 schools in Oroquieta City, or 100,000 pesos financial assistance to all 55 schools. It was a promise anchored on the belief that a strong partnership between the government and the education sector can result to a milestone most beneficial to our schools, our learners, and the teachers. I, together with then Vice Mayor George Almonte and the 12-strong Sangguniang Panglungsod members, promise to give our 100% support to the Oroquieta City Division for a better Oroquieta.
Project Makagwapa. The tree planting initiative of the division, coined as Project Makagwapa, mangustin, calamansi, guyabano, avocado, papaya, has gained immense support from the local government unit to mitigate climate change, sustain the city greening program, strengthen implementation of gulayan sa paaralan, provide income-generating projects, and promote good health, well-being, and economic progress. For this project, nearly 1.2 million pesos was generated through partnership with the city government of Oroquieta and the DENR for the purchase of fruit-bearing tree seedlings. Around 1,200 seedlings of fruit-bearing and flower-bearing trees were planted, including the golden shower and pink trees.
From the archives of Tancrud City Division's radio-based instruction and TV-based instruction comes voluminous learning tools consisting of audio, video, and printed materials used extensively during the 2-year pandemic. As the use of distance learning wanes due to the eradication of the virus, which allows the division to go back to the normal classroom setting, the use of these vast learning resources is realigned from long-distance mode to face-to-face mode. From its state as RBI and PBBI learning materials, they are all redesigned to become the learning materials for media-assisted instruction. Media-assisted instruction is a strategy that utilizes maximally the audio, video, and printed materials used during the pandemic. In its entirety, classrooms are converted into media-equipped classrooms utilizing TV, audio speakers, and printers as the main tool in delivering quality teaching and a learning environment and experiences for the children. Teachers are assuming the role of learning facilitators, applying the formula of active learning. From this strategy, classrooms are envisioned for students to interact with the audio-video lessons and practice skills using the printed materials. Teachers, as facilitators, ensure to provide a media-assisted learning environment to the students. Media-assisted instruction focused on learning through modeling, practice, assess, drill, assess until mastery of the learning competency is achieved. It uses active learning as its main approach, where the performance of the students is given much attention rather than the teachers.
Towards the end of the fourth quarter of last school year, the school's division office of Taguig City had already opened the face-to-face classes mode. Teachers were already able to use as pilot the media-assisted instruction model. It was revealed that the media-assisted instruction, or MAI, helped and eased teachers' burden, especially in lesson preparation. Media-assisted instruction is a complete lesson package consisting of a lesson plan, audio-video materials, printed learning materials with activity sheets or practice sheets, and assessment or lesson evaluations. This teaching learning package lessens teachers' preparation. The important parts of the teaching learning process, such as motivation, the importance of the lesson, competency or skills to be learned, the concepts, are already found in MAI. All of these minimize teaching preparation so that teachers can focus on other important things like scaffolding of the lesson and making sure that every student in the class understood or mastered the day's intended competency. The pre-teaching tasks of the teachers are reduced to the printing of the day's learning materials and preparing the audio-video lessons for each subject and the parallel assessment. MAI provided the teachers more time to check students' output and analyze the skills where students are lagging behind. In the many concerns of the teachers, the MAI is surely a national benefit.
The pandemic has forced a massive shift in the way we prepare our lesson for learners. Not everyone was prepared to make the shift. However, our lives are changing and the education system needed to adapt to these changes to keep up. To facilitate this need, ang Tangkub was created to cater to the needs of the long-distance learning of the City Division. After the crisis, the learning resources of ang Tangkub were transformed into a teaching learning package called the Media Assisted Instruction, or MAI. Will be used for the face-to-face classes, wherein teachers in the field were provided with a teacher's copy of the lesson to serve as the lesson plan. The teaching and learning process in media-assisted instruction focuses primarily on modeling the skill. It is primarily based on the concept of learning by doing by John Dewey. In MAI, or media-assisted instruction, the actual process of learning a specific skill is done step by step, as reflected in the crafted learning materials. It utilizes modeling of the skill as the major method of teaching the competency. Research shows that in the teaching and learning process, modeling is a very effective way to teach children behavior modification and kinesthetic skills. The modeling and concept formation is contained in the audio, video, and printed materials, thus providing learning to multiple learning styles of the students. In addition, What is good about media-assisted instruction is that the teaching is possible even in the absence of the teacher because the lessons are contained in the video and audio materials and also in the printed materials. These learning resources can be used also during the suspension of classes due to the force majeure and peace and order situations in the community where schools are situated. The innovation is a great help to minimize disruption of learning time and engage learners in active learning in any given situation. This means that with or without physical contact, with or without school building and shelter, learning will continue.
Posible kayang labanan ang agos ng paghamon, mabuwal at matapaman, sabay tayong aahon. Posible kayang maburang alinlangan sa sarili, ang tapang sa loob makikita, taglay mo ang tugong bayani. Sulong laban, huwag mong pakinggan sa iyong puso ang sigaw na dati bulong. Posible, sulong laban, Pilipino. Pakinggan sa iyong puso ang sigaw na dati bulong. Posible, posible, posible.
Halika na, pumikit, limutin ng problema. Hihintayin ang umaga. Magpahinga, panaginip ang ikaliligaya. Darating din ang umaga. Basta tayo'y magkasama, laging mayroong umagang gaganda. Pagsikat ng araw, may dalang liwanag sa ating pangarap. Harating natin. haharapin natin. Haharapin natin.
mga kabataang Pilipino ang muling pagsisimula ng in-person learning ngayong araw na ito.
Ito ang naging pahayag ni Vice President at DepEd Secretary Sara Zimmerman Duterte sa pagbubukas ng klase noong Agosto 22, 2022 doon sa Bataan. Narito pa ang kanyang mga mensahe.
Hindi po natin binabaliwala ang mga pangamba na dulot ng pandemya. Dahil diyan, naglatag po tayo ng mga alintuntunin para maiwasan na mahawa ng COVID-19 ang ating mga learners at mga teaching and non-teaching personnel sa paaralan. At katuwang po natin ang Department of Health dito. Today, we acknowledge that this is a victory for basic education. But without a doubt, this is also a victory for all the teachers and support staff, the parents, the LGUs, other government partners, private sector, and civil society advocate supporters, and all education stakeholders. August 22, 2022 is not only the day when DepEd and the entire organization opened in-person classes all over the country, in what others would describe as a bold move considering the continued threats of the pandemic and the perennial problems of the organization. But this is also the day when we made one of the important decisions on behalf of our children. A decision that will tremendously impact the future they are charting for themselves with our guidance. Paalala namin sa ating mga learners, sa ating mga anak, na hindi ang inyong mga magulang, hindi ang paaralan, hindi ang inyong mga guro ang magpapabago ng buhay ninyo. Kayo at ang inyong determinasyon ang magpapabago ng buhay ninyo. Our commitment to basic education must never falter. Our children deserve to have this memorable moment, the first day of school experience, where they start to build their dreams.
At upang paigtingin pa ang paghahanda ng mga paaralan sa ating taong panuroang 2022 to 2023, ang DepEd Division of Bukidnon ay nagsagawa ng isang virtual orientation on the guidelines on the enrollment for school year 2022 to 2023 and Oplan Balik Eskwela 2022. Kasama po natin dito si Assistant Schools Division Superintendent ODS Boris.
Sir Odi, kamusta naman po yung mga paghahanda na ginagawa ng Department of Education Division of Bukidnon?
Yeah, actually, Kuya Loy, busy ang lahat ngayon. In fact, our school heads, together with the public school district supervisors, are so busy. In terms of preparations, considering that ito na yung hinihintay ng lahat, no? Our personnel and division office are tasked to really ensure that all schools are really implementing this activity, no? Starting next week, August 22, 2022, mag-start na yung klase for school year 2022-2023. Makikita natin na very much ready, no? I believe that our schools in DepEd Division of Bukidnon matagal nang handa.
At upang gabayan tayo sa mga panuntunan sa ating pag-i-enroll na ating po mga learners, ay ating po tayong sinamahan ng ating Planning Officer 3, Miss Yunilde Elcano Batistil. Narito ang kanyang interview.
Encouraging everyone to listen, especially if you are a parent, a guardian, a sister, a brother, or even a relative, no, of a child, specifically here in Division of Bukidnon. So this is our chance to ensure that our learners get enrolled so that they will be part of our budget, no? Budget for 2022 to 2023.
Ang mga hakbang ginagawa ng Department of Education Division of Bukidnon ay tamang-tama sa tema ngayong taong ito na Tapit Bisig para sa Ligtas na Balik-anan. Mula dito sa DepEd Division of Bukidnon, ako si Ramon Vincent A. Torres ng Buulan.
Maayong adlaw, ka-DepEd! The purchase of our 358 units of Samsung Galaxy Tab A7 Lite as part of our division's Learning Recovery Plan was made possible through our visionary leader, our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Olga C. Alonsabe, and our OIC Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Mr. Janicio L. Liwagon Jr. A contract price of 3,396,704 pesos with tempered and poly case with installed self-learning modules was distributed to our select senior high school learners from Mulugan Senior High School, Pugon Senior High School, El Salvador City Senior High School, and Sinaloc Senior High School. These educational tablets shall be used during classroom instructions with the guidance of their teachers. Gasa ni Elsa started in the year 2020 when the pandemic broke. This is one of the division's efforts to recognize our Taglipan-on learners by giving them a simple gift. GASA is an acronym that stands for GEMS, Act of Sharing Anything. This year, as we formally open our doors to our learners, the Gasa ni Elsa project aims to provide educational supplies to our select school-aged children. On September 2, 2022, our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Olga C. Alonsabe, and OIC Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Mr. Janicio L. Liwagon Jr., was the driving force behind the debut of Gasa ni Elsa at Hinigdaan Elementary School, which contains educational materials for our 90 children and 85 learners at Kibonbon Elementary School the following week. The division targets to give gift or GASA to all select learners from all schools in the division. We would like to thank our sponsors and stakeholders for donating their resources and time, especially our partners from MOLD's Batch 1975, the different employees of the Division of El Salvador City, our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Mr. Janicio L. Liwagon Jr., and our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Olga C. Alonsabe. You just heard the latest update from the Division of El Salvador City. This is your Division Information Officer, Marie Jade A. Kakayan, saying, here in ELSA, we preciously polish each gem.
Ayan po mga ka-DepEd, kapartner na rada, nagdaan na naman po ang mahigit 1.5 oras ng ating pagbibigay impormasyon at balita sa ating mga ka-DepEd partner. Just before we finally close the episode today, naroon ka bang mga pahabol na mensahe dyan, greetings o mga panawagan? Meron ba?
Sa atin na lang yung mga panawagan natin, partner. Mamaya ko lang sasabihin sa'yo, pero hindi ko na patatagalin, partner, kasi struggling ang ating internet connection ngayon, partner. Kaya iratsada na natin to.
Ayan, tama ka partner. Anyway, sige, finally, we say thank you to the following for making every episode of BigaTEN DepEd possible. Siyempre, our very own regional director, Dr. Arturo P. Bayopot, CESA 3, Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Victor G. De Gracia Jr., CESA 5.
Yes, partner. And of course, how could we forget to thank our very own DepEd 10, BigaTEN DepEd 10 Creative Force. Thank you, partner. Thank you din. Oy, shout out, panawagan na ito kay Carlos B. Llamas III. Asa namang kaigsuon? And we would also like to thank, of course, Sir Renel J. Kirit, Sir Ralph Simon L. Mabulay, Sir Dennis Carl Fuentes, si Miss Fatima E. Villaremo, emphasis on Miss, and we also thank Clifford B. Liponhay of the Office of the Regional Director.
That's right, and thank you to our support staff from the Office of the Regional Director, the Legal Unit, the Public Affairs Unit, and the Information Communications Technology Unit. Kay Sir Elson Hamera and Team Camigin for the BigaTEN DepEd jingle, at syempre kay Sir Nick Panyares for his generosity as always in helping us facilitate our account for the use of the StreamYard platform.
And of course, we would also like to thank our DepEd Regional Office 10 family. Thank you to the 14 schools division offices, to all our DepEd schools, to all our stakeholders, sa lahat ng ating mga ka-DepEd at sa lahat ng nanood sa atin ngayong umagang ito. And of course, Paulo, thank you to our learners, the heart of DepEd Region 10. Maraming salamat po.
That's right. Kita-kits sa sunod si Mana. Partner, ka-DepEd, let's make BigaTEN DepEd our chosen ability. Kung hindi natapos ang atong ika-57 ka edisyon sa BigaTEN DepEd, ating po, Sinawan Gonzalez Cabrera and DepEd Paulo, ang Legal Public Affairs Lead Officer na ngayon, aliwala sa mga pagsigay, ang among pag-anagan, kanunay.
Ug ako sab si Candice Racoma, ang inyong rakista abogada aka ka-DepEd Rada, usab nagaingon sa DepEd amihan ng Mindanao nagkahiusang pag-alagad nagpakibabaw. Sa gihapon, kami ang inyong kauban.
Kasabihan.
Kadampan.
Siyempre, sa DepEd, ang sa
BigaTEN DepEd 10. Atin to.
DepEd Northern Mindanao, ambihan ng Mindanao, pagkaiusan ng pag-ibabaw. BigaTEN DepEd, pagpadayon sa edukasyon, mao'y tumong na maangkon. BigaTEN DepEd, DepEd Northern Mindanao, for the learners then and now, we're always here.